Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to go back to the testimony and the legislation that's being proposed by two other members, and I'm going to personally take a look at that because obviously, every rider, every user of any form of transportation should be able to feel safe when they enter a vehicle, whether it's a Uber driver, Lyft driver, train, transit, taxi, whoever it may be. And so I do think it is, we need to look at ensuring that we're adequately doing what we can to ensure that drivers are protected. Fortunately, I should say, in my district, I'm not aware of any specific incidents where an Uber or Lyft driver had been involved in an assault, and certainly no murder. I do want to read, though, a headline from about a year ago, which I vividly remember. And it says, Lancaster City taxi driver charged with raping woman after dropping her off at her home. And in this specific situation, the driver of the taxi offered to take the woman's luggage into the home for her and ended up raping her. How do you think that happened, Mr. Miller?
How do I think it happened?
Yeah, what happened in the system to allow a taxi driver to do that?
It clearly fell through the cracks. I don't know the specific article you're talking about, but it happens on all sides. I'm not here to bash Uber and Lyft because we have TNCs within our membership as well.
I know I've talked to many Uber and Lyft drivers in my district who are grateful for the opportunity for maybe a part-time job or something of that sort, and none of them have assaulted anyone, none of them have murdered anyone. So the idea that I've heard in this hearing today, bashing all Uber and Lyft drivers due to the criminality and the horrific crimes of a few of them is insulting.
Mr. Congressman,
do you think the taxi driver in Lancaster City would have been required to have been fingerprinted?
They should have been, and that's why I'm here today. We are pushing for everybody to.
I'd actually like to have more information on that. I'd like to have more information on specific statistics on taxi drivers and how many have been involved in an assault.
That's one reason I think why we're all here today. Yeah, is we would like to find a way to track all this.
I'm going to submit it to the record. Some questions along this line that I'd like you to answer. I do also want to ask Mr. Miller. The ride sharing, the idea, the benefit of what Uber and Lyft have been providing in my district to folks who do not have access. We don't have a lot of taxi drivers in our area. Why is it that those ideas have not, don't you think are long overdue, and why weren't they developed by the taxi and limousine drivers industry?
Are you talking about just the TNC model itself?
Yes.
Again, it's a business that has been around for hundreds of years, and they've been doing things the same way. Again, competition is not a bad thing. Uber and Lyft found a new model and something that appealed to consumers. We are all doing it now. Again, the difference being now, if we have some of our members who have traditional taxi companies, but also have divisions of the TNC model themselves. It's harder for us, for some reason, localities to get approved for a TNC model.
You mentioned the regulation. You specifically mentioned that taxi drivers today, by regulation, are not allowed to provide congestion pricing.
Correct.
Is that true?
Correct.
Would you support us removing that regulation?
I think I'd have to go back, but I would eventually guess if you polled our drivers, they probably would say yes.
You and the association would support that position?
I can't answer for them right now, but I'd take it back to them and get you an answer for that.
You did. I can relate to the situation you're in where you're heavily regulated and a new disruptive model really is impacting, and you're potentially looking for barriers to entry or at least leveling the playing field. You've said multiple times you'd like to see the playing field leveled.
Absolutely.
I think the free market has driven this kind of innovation. What regulations would you support removing on your current taxi drivers and limousines?
I would be happy to get that from the leadership and get you a direct answer to that. I just don't have all the way to answer that today without vetting it through them, but we have.
Do you have one regulation that you would support removing?
I think the insurance. Right now, we have a higher standard for getting insurance than they do. We would like to see us be able to qualify for that hybrid type of insurance Because again, you're talking about a $5,000 a year cost versus
I'm running out of time, and I'm sorry. I'd love to have more of this discussion. In fact, I'll submit a question in that regard as well. I'd love to
Absolutely.
hear from you what regulations you would like to see removed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.